Hello hockey fans, Oddman Rush here and welcome back to another video. In March of 2022, I made a video on the Triple Gold Club, where I detailed how it has earned a reputation as the most exclusive group in the sport, while also highlighting the various hockey legends who have earned their place within it. Now, since that video was released, I have somehow found another group that's even more exclusive and far more difficult to join than the Triple Gold Club, and I figured I should make this video to tell you guys all about it. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to the Big Double Club, hockey's most exclusive group. Now, in order to fully explore the Big Double Club, let us begin by detailing what it is and how it came about. In order to join the Big Double Club, a player must win both a Stanley Cup championship and an Olympic gold medal during the same calendar year. So not only do you have to survive a grueling postseason run and lift the greatest trophy in the sport, you also have to represent your national team during a Winter Olympic Games and help them go all the way against the best hockey nations in the world too. You can see why this group is so exclusive now, can't you? Now, the Big Double Club isn't officially recognised by either the National Hockey League or the International Ice Hockey Federation, but the group has garnered a cult following amongst fans due to the limited number of players who have achieved this feat. After all, there are only 8 players who have won both awards during a single season and have earned their place in the club at the time of this recording. It really is the most unique group in hockey, and it's far more exclusive than the Triple Gold Club. And that group's difficult enough to get into already, you know? So who are the 8 members of the Big Double Club? Well, starting with the very first player to achieve this feat and the inaugural member of this group, Ken Morrow. A steady defenseman throughout the 1980s, Ken Morrow would suit up in 550 NHL games over parts of 10 seasons exclusively with the New York Islanders, where he scored 17 goals and 105 points for his efforts. Now, while Morrow was far from being a superstar and he produced modest numbers throughout his career, the American defenseman would be the first player in hockey history to win Olympic gold and a Stanley Cup in the very same year, as he won an Olympic gold medal with Team USA on February 24th, 1980, shortly after the iconic Miracle on Ice, of course, before following it up with his first Stanley Cup championship exactly 3 months later on May 24th. Not only would this achievement make him the very first member of the Big Double Club, Morrow would go on to win 3 more Stanley Cups over the next 3 seasons, and he would be inducted into the United States Hockey Hall of Fame. So big double or not, the guy had one hell of a successful career, right? Though Morrow became the very first member of this group, he would also remain the sole owner of this achievement for quite some time, as no one else would win both of these awards together for the next 2 decades. However, the group would finally get some new members during the early 2000s, as a pair of players would achieve this feat at the exact same time. And who were these players? Well, none other than Steve Eiserman and Brendan Shanahan. 2 of the greatest forwards in NHL history, Steve Eiserman and Brendan Shanahan would each play over 2 decades in the NHL between the mid-1980s and the late 2000s, where they each scored at least 650 goals and over 1,350 points in at least 1,500 games each. And that's not even mentioning the treasure trove of awards or the numerous accolades that they each won during their respective Hall of Fame careers too. Talk about some talented hockey players, eh, folks? Now, during the latter half of their careers, during the 2001-02 NHL season, Shanahan and Eiserman would both book their place in the Big Double Club, as they won an Olympic gold medal with Team Canada on February 24th, 2002, before lifting the 2002 Stanley Cup as a member of the Detroit Red Wings on June 13th of that very same year. So thanks to their strong performance on the international stage, and thanks to their clutch play for an NHL dynasty, the Big Double Club had added its first members in over 2 decades, and the group had tripled in size overnight. It may have taken longer than expected, but with the players that joined, I imagine that it was well worth the wait, right? Now, while the Big Double Club would increase to 3 members, this number wouldn't last for very long, as a trio of players would all join the group together shortly after the start of the following decade. And these players were none other than Jonathan Toews, Brent Seabrook, and Duncan. Three of the greatest players in Chicago Blackhawks history, Taze, Seabrook and Keith, have each produced long and successful careers over the last 2 decades. As they have all played over 1,000 NHL games, they have all spent over a decade and a half in the show, and they have all won 3 Stanley Cups together exclusively with the Blackhawks. Talk about a championship winning core, right? Now this trio would all join the Big Double Club together during the 09-10 NHL season, as they all won an Olympic gold medal with Team Canada on February 28, 2010, before all lifting their first of 3 Stanley Cups just a few months later on July 9th of that very same year. So thanks to their impressive play internationally, as well as their performances during the Stanley Cup playoffs, Taze, Seabrook and Keith had all joined the Big Double Club, and they had helped the group double in size almost instantly. It's great to see such a sizable increase to the club, even if it took nearly 3 decades to do so, right? Just 4 years after this trio joined the group, along came another pair of players and the most recent members of the Big Double Club, Jeff Carter and Drew Doughty. 2 legends within the LA Kings organization, Jeff Carter and Drew Doughty have both produced lengthy, decorated careers in the NHL, as they have both played over 1,000 regular season games, they have both played at least a decade and a half in the league, and they both played a major role in helping the Kings lift their first 2 championships in franchise history. There's certainly worse ways to make your mark, that's for sure. Now during the 13-14 NHL season, both Carter and Doughty would earn their place in hockey's most exclusive group, as their Olympic gold medal with Team Canada on February 23, 2014, and their Stanley Cup championship less than 4 months later on June 13th, helped them both join the club at the exact same time. So after playing for the last team standing during the Olympics, and after winning their 2nd cup in just 3 years, Doughty and Carter had become the latest members of the Big Double Club. Given that they are still the most recent members of the group to this very day, that pair clearly achieved something pretty impressive, didn't they? Now that we have explored all 8 members of this group, I can imagine that some of you are probably wondering, why haven't there been any new members since 2014? Surely someone must have won both of these awards in the same year in the last decade, right? Well, since the NHL refused to let their players compete at either the 2018 or the 2022 Winter Olympic Games, it's been pretty much impossible for anybody else to have achieved this feat within the last 9 years or so. So thanks for that one, Gary Bettman, appreciate that one, dude. While the Big Double Club hasn't seen any new recent members, who might have joined the group had the NHL allowed their players to go to the Olympics? Well, since the Washington Capitals won the Cup in 2018, and since the Olympic athletes from Russia won the gold medal that same year, it's possible that Dmitry Orlov, Evgeny Kuznetsov and Alexander Ovechkin all could have joined the group that year, while Mikko Rantanen and Arturi Lehkonen both could have joined in 2022 after the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup and Finland took home their first Olympic gold medal that year. Now, of course, the Olympic tournaments could have turned out far differently had NHL players competed, and it's certainly possible that other countries might have taken home the gold instead, but given that the club could have nearly doubled in size due to the nations that actually won those competitions, and given that the players that might have played for those teams had the NHL attended, I figured that each of these possibilities was worth mentioning, you know? And besides, it's always fun to hypothesize on what could have been, right? So what's next for the Big Double Club? Will we see a new member sooner rather than later? Will NHL players finally get to return to the Olympics? While neither of these questions will be answered anytime soon, and while recent events might suggest otherwise, never say never, right? And on that note, I'm going to end today's video. That was a look at the Big Double Club. What do you guys think about this group or the players that have achieved this feat? When do you think the next member will join, and who do you think it will be? Do let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys, I do hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Bexy93, Burned Retinas, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Raquel and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.